In this video, I'll show you exactly how I make my favorite raw cruciferous salad according to Dr. Brooke Goldner's Goodbye Lupus protocol, and also a really tasty flax cookie.
For this salad, I found that 3 large pieces of kale is just perfect. So what I'm doing is I'm taking out the rib in the middle because that is too fibrous and it's really hard to digest and chew. So just removing that, and then I'm rolling it and doing a little chiffonade. So you don't want big pieces of kale because kale's very, very bitter, and there's different varieties, so just find ones that you like best. I really like the purple kale. I found that the ones that are green are really bitter and the purple is less bitter. The other ingredients that I'm adding will offset the bitterness of the kale, which is purple cabbage, cucumber, and carrot. So for this salad, I'm gonna have about, I'd say, a half of a purple cabbage. The green cabbage I found to be very bitter unless you cook it, but the purple cabbage is very sweet. So I usually use about a half of a small purple cabbage. So it's really best if I put this in a food processor and just make it very thin slices, but that kind of takes too much time to clean it and get it out. So I'm just going to, I typically just slice it right here, and the thinner you slice it, the better it's going to taste. It'll taste sweeter, and the purple cabbage really crunchy, which is a nice texture combination when you compare it to the soft kind of flimsy texture of the kale. So I'm going to get rid of the core, and the part in the middle that's really white, I get rid of that. And the next ingredient I'm going to add is English cucumbers, and it's much better, much sweeter, much firmer than just regular cucumbers. And I do want to remove the skin, of course the plastic, and get rid of the ends, because I'm going to make this into noodles. So I'm going to make this not into zoodles, which is zucchini noodles, but I'm going to make them into koodles, cucumber noodles. So, and I definitely wash it, of course, the cucumber and the carrot. I'm just going to put the carrot aside for right now. So I'm going to peel this, and then you'll notice that the English cucumbers are much larger than the other cucumbers in the store, and get rid of any of the bitter peel. And then I'm gonna cut this into thirds, and that will make it easier when I make them into noodles. And also the noodles are too big, so this way if I'm already cutting into thirds, there will be a really nice size. All right, and cut off any spots that are just a little too soft, which may be overripe. So there you go, about 3 of each of these. And I'm gonna go ahead and peel the carrot, get rid of the tough outer layer of the carrot. And the thicker, the wider the carrot, the easier it's going to be when you put it into the little machine that you're using to make the noodles. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna slice that into thirds, but I'm going to try to cut it where the thickness is even. Now this carrot is a little bit too thin, but I'm going to show you right here the machine that I use to make the noodles, and I'm showing this kind of, I usually do it on the right side, I'm showing it on the left side, so I'm a little awkward. I was just doing it this way to film it so that you could see it a little better. And this middle part that looks like a mushroom, I'm going to show it to you here. Yeah, it tastes really gross, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in my recycle bin. And so when I make these cucumber noodles, I know that I have 6 of them because I've got 2 cucumbers, and so I've got 6 pieces, and I try to remember to count when I'm making them because sometimes I forget and then I have a big chunk. So I'm like, all right, I'm on number 3. So today I'm just gonna make a really small salad, but my salads are really huge, and it's best to pick up 2 of the cucumbers. All right, there's another little mushroom, and I'm gonna do cucumber noodles on the 3rd one. And you'll see I'm pulling the little noodles out of the machine, otherwise they're gonna be wasted and fall on the counter. And make sure I'm centering that so that it doesn't slip and fall. All right, so now put all the noodles in there. Get rid of that 3rd mushroom. All right, so now I'm gonna move on to the carrot, and you'll see that even this large piece, it doesn't make noodles very easy. And it's quite an arm workout to do the carrots because carrots are really firm, but it lends a wonderful crunch and sweetness. It's kind of like the icing on a cake where it's like, it just makes it really delicious. So definitely don't forget the carrot, because sometimes I forget the carrot, and I'm showing you here how it's a little bit more difficult because this carrot is just too narrow. It really needed to be wider. So what happens when I don't have thick carrots, because they not always thick enough, I'm just going to slice them. So I'm showing you what sometimes happens is that when I'm trying to make the carrots into noodles, the inside kind of gets all mushed, and so I have to cut that part off and start over. Here you go. So now you can see the noodles. And it's funny because when I've tasted carrots by themselves, they're not sweet, but when I add them to this salad with the contrasting flavors of the bitter and the carrot actually tastes so much sweeter. So because I couldn't fit the rest of it in the little zoodle machine, I'm slicing the carrot very thinly, and that will, for some reason, it just tastes much sweeter when I do this. So I'm going to toss it all together and make sure not to forget any big pieces, and usually I end up eating some of it while I am making this massive salad. And I eat this every single day, and this is about a pound of cruciferous vegetables, and the cruciferous in this dish is the purple cabbage and the kale. All right, so got my big fork, and I'm just gonna combine all the different vegetables in here. And I do not use a dressing. Sometimes I'll add fruit to make it a little bit sweeter, but I kind of like it just as is. If I do add fruit, my favorite go-tos for the salad are sliced oranges or those little tangerine segments, which are really good. I also like chopped apple, and I don't remove the skin. The very sweet apples, the Fujis, are really delicious. And I don't really like the green apples, are a little too tart. Or the other thing I like to add with the salad is pear when in season. So Now you're thinking, okay, what are you doing? So I am making a little banana flax cookie because you gotta have a little bit of fat with your salad to help absorb the nutrients. So what I've got here is 4 level tablespoons of flax seeds, and I prefer the flax over the chia. For some reason my body just doesn't really like chia too much. So I am grinding them in my coffee grinder, and yeah, I'm really giving it a nice little shake and pulse, because if I don't do it at least that long, it won't become this wonderful powder that I have here. And if you don't grind it well enough, then you'll get these really crunchy seeds that won't digest properly. They'll just go right through you. So what I add to this is 2 inches of ripe banana. And the first time you do this, I recommend grabbing your ruler and measuring out 2 inches, because if I add too much banana, it just becomes a little bit mushy, because flax is really high in fat. Of course, it's the good fats, the omega-3 fats, but it will, when I smash it, the fats will release. So what I'm doing is I'm smashing the banana with the tines of the fork into the flax seeds. Oops, I forgot the cinnamon. Oh, cinnamon just makes this a wonderful dessert. So being very careful not to make a mess and just really smashing that in there. So I've got really strong forearms and a wrist from doing this. And this is it's kind of like a wonderful dessert. So it tastes like a cinnamon banana cookie. And after you're done smashing this, you could just eat it, like kind of in little pieces. But I'm going to show you how I make this into a little cookie after I'm smashing it. And I'll know when to make that into a little ball when it all comes to stick together. And you'll see that the pieces start to clump into large clumps. And if you keep doing this, it will form into a ball. And it does take a little bit of time, but you see, look how it's coming together really nicely, kind of like when you're making a batter. So that's really what I'm making right now. And I'm almost done. So I'm doing this in real time so you can see how long it takes. And it's better to use a little less banana than too much. All right, there is my little cookie. I'm going to form it into a ball with my hands and flatten it. It's actually better to let it sit out a little bit to dry out. All right, time to test it. Yum, so good. It's really sweet with a tiny bit of a crunch. So this is what the flax cookies look like, and this is my salad. That's how big it is, and it's so big. It takes about 45 minutes for me to eat. So are you going to make this salad? Let me know in the comments below.
I created another video on what I eat in a day on Dr. Brooke Goldner's raw vegan diet, and that video I've attached to the end screen. The other video you may be interested in watching is the conditions that I reversed on Dr. Brooke Goldner's protocol with before and after photos. So let me know if you have any questions.